morning. Uh, 4 more days until I get to try to quit smoking, but to today's topic, the Battalion group. I literally don't know who the idiot is that decided to form the military units according to battalion size. It is. Good God. Good God. Battalion sized units are so small. They're like I don't I don't know how somebody can think that a battalion has any staying power in the field. It is moronic. Brigade is the smallest you should be moving, and even then, they have about a day's worth of combat staying power if they're normal brigades. A battalion, it has 10 tanks if it's an armored battalion. You realize that if the enemy has 5 guys, we then lost the shoulder launched anti tank missile, and they damage or cripple or destroy 3 of those tanks, you're now at 70% operability. So, to stop a battalion sized unit from being combat effective in offensive operations, you hit it with essentially one artillery barrage and it's combat ineffective. Battalion sized units are magnificent if you're doing guerrilla operations against groups that have no more than a company sized military unit. But forming your active army during an offensive period into brigade sized units is can't even explain to you how stupid battalion sized units. I can't even explain to you how stupid that is. Even brigade is most likely too small. A 150 to 200 battalion sized groups operating in hostile territory where you don't have secure radio communications with all of your units is essentially so stupid that I literally don't have words for it. The amount of micromanagement your senior commanders have to do is beyond belief to coordinate those battalion groups. And you need something on the order of 5 battalion groups to successfully engage a brigade group in defense. And coordinating them so that they attack on the same time, that they coordinate their fire on the same target, etc., is moronically difficult compared to having brigades or even divisions. But if you had the Russian army basing its size on divisions, you'd see how little armed forces they actually have. They'd have around 10 heavy divisions, which is a different sounding word than 150 battalion operational groups. It is moronic because the more you have to micromanage your army, the more complicated it becomes. The smaller the units, the less staying power if they do actually encounter an enemy, as well as many other factors. Their ability to operate is minuscule. If 5 battalions attack a brigade and the brigade isn't attacked at exactly the same time in a coordinated manner by the five, you get this thing we call defeat in detail, which is when you have a superior force that you've split into many small units, and the enemy can target those small units individually. A brigade attacking a line of even 20 battalion sized groups, where the battalion groups don't coordinate perfectly, which they won't, with each other, will have a devastating effect on the 20 battalions. But one brigade attacking one division, which is about the same size as 20 battalions, give or take, will make hardly a dent in the division. It will affect it, but not in any meaningful way. But that brigade, before it becomes combat ineffective, if it engages 20 battalions, will be able to cripple several of them at the very least. I don't know much about military stuff, being a pacifist, but some things I do know. And that is that when you are facing an enemy that has comparable force to you, then do not disperse your forces because you will be defeated in detail. If the enemy is significantly weaker than you and you are doing what amounts to mop up operations, then sure. But even then, if they manage to combine their forces for a short period of time while they make a counteroffensive, your battalions will be overrun. A battalion of normal motorized infantry encountering a brigade of mechanized infantry can't even run away with any of its forces in any meaningful way, while the brigade to brigade, you have enough force to set down a tying unit and allow the rest to escape. I have seen many of these mistakes in these various combat operations by these various groups, and none so glaringly bad as taking your military to a battalion sized unit. If Russia had organized its units according to a division or brigade style, with far less command to organize the units and with good superior command, as in high command, that didn't have to play ball with 100 units, each of which can't even take a small town on their own, then I believe this war would have been over already. But luckily for the West, the Russian military command has done some grievous errors. Amongst them is to rely on such small units. You see that a small unit, as is pictured in this Ukrainian war maps that you can see, it is clear that a battalion combat group is not combat effective. It is not combat effective. I believe the reason why the Southern Army from Crimea to Kherson and Mariupol did so well is because, as far as I understand, into larger units because they were under a more traditional style commander, but I do not know for sure. And it appears like the Russian army might be realizing the same thing, that battalion sized combat units are great against partisans in areas where movement is difficult and you have absolute air dominance. But a battalion sized combat group in a country like Ukraine that is known to fight, a single battalion combat group cannot even take a low-level partisan attack against them without being somewhat combat ineffective afterwards. So Here's to hoping that the Russians continue with their battalion sized units, because that is going to be a bloodbath. And the reason that a lot of the generals are dying is because some of them are actually leading these battalion groups in the front. And when the Ukrainians hear that there is a general leading a battalion group in the front, they concentrate their fire on that particular unit and kill the general. Which is why a lot of the braver, upfront military commanders of Russia are dying while the armchair quarterbacks are living. And if you want to combine these battalion groups, the brigades, you need at least 2 or 3 battalions, preferably up to 5 battalions to make a brigade. And a single division of Russian army organized as a division and not a battalion group could have taken Kyiv. I have no doubt about it. But 100 battalion-sized groups attacking piecemeal so that the defenders can concentrate their forces as the opponent attacks cannot take Kyiv. So in short, what we're seeing is a military doctrine geared against anti-partisan warfare, engaging an actual combat-worthy enemy and getting absolutely hammered. It's the reason why police forces should not be used in military operations. But if the Russians start to organize in the brigades and divisions now, it will take them months before they're combat worthy, because many of these units have never trained or operated in such large units. So, in short, we ought to give the Nobel Peace Prize to whoever recommended that Russia shifts to battalion sized combat units. That is all.